One thing that comes to mind right away when working with Yuki is that he consistently has me implement things into my life to help me learn about my mind, but most importantly to help me experience the way that my mind works. And in doing that, I've been able to take a lot of action in my life and have way more success in my career and my personal life and different relationships.
I'm grateful because I learned my heart was open again. It had been closed for a lot of years, and my heart's open, and I'm open to love, and I feel for the first time that I am loved. Not loved, I am loved, and I have a lot to give, and I know that.
Yuki has helped me realize that I have no limitations, and everything that I'm doing is completely purpose-driven now, and he has brought that out in me by just helping me realize what's already within. I wouldn't trade the experiences I've had with him for anything in the world, and I consider him a wonderful friend and an amazing mentor.
I have been through several mentors. No one has touched my heart, and no one has changed my life and gave me the feeling of power like you have. And I just I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful. And I even love myself, even though I'm not where I want to be. And I don't care. I just feel like everything is so better, so much better. Yay.
Now on top of that, Yuki's just really, really great to work with. I never feel like he's pushing me to do anything. And I feel like he's always working with me. So that directly where I'm at, no matter what's going on in my life, he's willing to meet me there and then help, to guide me to some other direction.
I love it. You make me so grateful.
And I like that you call my my whining honesty. So I think the first time that I sort of started becoming interested in maybe a non-conventional way of thinking was when I watched The Secret, which is a famous, I guess, documentary about the law of attraction. I watched it and realized that maybe something like that had been happening in my life throughout my life, and I didn't understand it. And I began to get woke to the idea that I wasn't responsible for my own subconscious programming, and that I could be, and I could, through taking ownership of that, change the trajectory of my life. And up until that point, I'm in my 50s now. And so I was in my 50s. I had little by little, over decades and decades of my adult life, really probably my whole adult life, I had never felt like I was in control of my life, that I never felt that I was the author of my own life. And I felt like life happened to me, and I was in this reactive mode all the time. And I became a wife, and then there was more reacting along with someone else. And then I became a mother, and again, and then my career was really one of which I found great mentors who told me, Lily, you're really good at this. You should do this. You should do X. And I did, because they said so, and because they said I was good at something, but I never really found myself pursuing a passion. I was very unhappy. I was a very, very unhappy person, which I wouldn't say is my personality. It had just sort of, life had really ground me down to a raw nub. And so what I really wanted more than anything was to feel a sense of purpose and passion again about life and about my future. And it would have been really easy to just sort of coast into my old age, the way I had been coasting into, my 20s, 30s, 40s, and 50s. So I was just looking for something to wake me up and to make me feel like I was moving towards something good for myself, my family, and my universe, my world around me. That's what I really, really wanted. And yet I didn't know, I wasn't expecting what I got, if that makes any sense. What I was looking for was, okay, so this is not true. What then is true? And what then is my place in the universe? And why am I here? If not for these other reasons that I've been taught to believe I'm here for. So that, and it was really fun to be able to, because, you know, I was sort of taught to stay away from science. It was fun to finally delve into science and start, you know, really thinking about things. I'd read Neil deGrasse Tyson's book of astrophysics for people in a hurry, and that really lit something inside of me about the universe and how we came to be, and a series on Prime called How the Universe Works. And the interesting thing was, the more I Michio Kaku, an astrophysicist, a theoretical astrophysicist that I love, the more I listened to these scientists, the more I realized how much it aligned with what I was learning from you about the power of the universe and about how vibrational energy works.
Yeah.
It's all actually very, very scientific. And that was really exciting, but it was also a real confirmation that I was on a good path.
Yeah.
And for once, I didn't feel something inside of me that said, wait a minute, you need to question all this stuff. I do question things. It's just my nature, but I didn't feel that nagging unease. By the next visit with my physician, I was 3 months later, I had had 32 vials of blood drawn. I had I don't even know how many tests they ran from those 32 vials of blood. And the test results went to him before my visit. And when I walked in to his office, he was standing up, and he was beaming. He had a huge smile on his face, and he was coming to me with his arms outstretched. And he said, I never get to do this, but I'm releasing you because all your results came back negative and all of your numbers are beautiful. So and this is a man who gives out his personal cell phone number because his patients are so very ill, and he got to release me on that second visit. And I was still being treated, and I still do struggle with mast cell activation and EDS. However, I will say that he had me on 6 meds, and I'm down to one, just one pill a day. And I almost never have issues any longer. So that was my first sort of beautiful awakening that helped me to understand that I was really, truly onto something wonderful. To me, you were talking about curiosity, my curiosity, and you were talking about how I want to bring things to the world. And one of the things, you know, you and I have been working together for almost a year. And one of the things that I've been consistently working on is trying to define who I am. Who am I? And it's only been recently that I realized who I am is I am a curious person with a curious nature who loves to follow my my curiosity. And I'm also a resource person. I want to find as many powerful resources as I can and share them with others so they can live they can realize their own potential. And so having said that, finally able to have that pithy statement that defines who I am has helped me focus so much on what I want to bring to the world. And I have said, I think the next big PSA in the world is going to be, it used to be how important diet and exercise was. And I think now it's going to be how important it is for you to understand that your subconscious programming was handed to you and your operating system was given to you, and you can get in and rewire it to what you want it to be to orchestrate your life and your future. And that's what I want. That's one of the resources that I want to bring to people, is just that understanding that, your subconscious programming, it's not your own.
Right.
You should own it. You should get in there and figure out what's, what you want your subconscious programming, what you want that operating system to be filled with. So that's probably number one, bottom line, what I want to bring to the world. Do my own little bit in building that kind of awareness. Yeah. And that's interesting that you say that I'm unstoppable, because I really am not even in a great place right now. I would say right now I'm overwhelmed I'm a mother of 3, and my kids are really active in things that are they require just a huge amount of my involvement, and I'm overwhelmed. However, and so I'm not taking care of myself in the last couple of weeks like I have been, and I haven't been carving out time for myself. And yet in the past, that is the kind of life that I led all the time. I was always giving and reacting to others, and never really indulging in pursuing my own passion and my own sense of purpose. And I would despair. It would feel so hopeless, like I had no control, and I was not living a life of any kind of real meaning. And now I'm in a place where I can be sort of in this bad place, and yet I'm not. I don't despair. I know I'm going to get back on track. It's fine. This is just a season I have to get through. Mm-hmm. This happens. And because of, because I want to say, because I'm woke now, because I have this understanding that there is this source of strength that I can tap into in myself and in the universe itself, that I no longer feel hopeless in times like this. I just feel like, yeah, I'm just gonna, I'll carve out a minute, I'll tap into my source, and I'll get back on track, and it's gonna be fine. And that is very, very new, because I would say I have, as even from my young adult years, dealt with a lot of depression, a lot of anxiety, and just, almost kind of like a hopelessness. Like my life really wasn't anything that I had wanted it to be. But now I understand I have a lot of personal power, and I am back in the, I'm the person designing my life. And sometimes it gets away from me, and that's okay. It's not a big deal. We'll get back on track. Once you sort of enter that portal into this whole new world and this whole new way of thinking, there is no going back. So yeah, maybe life happens, but your mindset never goes back to that old way. I'll never despair again. I'll never be depressed over my life. I will always feel hopeful and patient, maybe with myself and with others. Uh-huh. But there's no going back.
I've been so grateful for all your teachings and everything, and just it's been such a special year, our relationship. I would say, that's a crazy thing. Like when I came to you, I didn't even realize what I was looking for. Like that was part of the problem why I could never find it. Yeah. I was always like seeking, love or approval or happiness outside of myself. I was like, oh, okay, I got to, do this at my job, or I got to make this friend or meet this girl or whatever. But just like desperately seeking something outside of me for me to get that happiness and that fulfillment. Mm-hmm. However, as I've gone through different programs with you, I've realized that true inner security and power, it comes from within. Mm-hmm. And when we can find that and cultivate that from the inside, the outside world will follow. Mm-hmm. And the fact is, like, it's almost irregardless if it does or doesn't, because I'm in such a peaceful place in my own self, in my own inner state. Mm-hmm. The outside world, I can just either suspend or just choose, okay, that's all right. That's not what I need right now. I know how I feel about myself, and that kind of developing that unconditional love relationship with myself has made me in a way just unshakable to the outside. So I think it was big on just like getting clear on what exactly I was looking for, and just a lot of factors. Like I was rather ignorant on the conscious and subconscious mind. Mm-hmm. And doing the Thinking into Results program with you, that opened, like, that just light bulbs went off in my mind. I was like, oh, that makes sense. Oh, that's why I was doing that. But I think you said it perfectly. Like, that then set the foundation for a much larger transformation, which I then am experiencing currently after completing the Satori Mindset. And I feel like if I would have just went straight into the Satori Mindset as I met you in last November, I mean, I'm sure I would have had like some kind of impact on me. It is incredible stuff in that program, but not quite the deepening level that it's had of late. Because again, my knowledge base is at a such higher level, and you know, that understanding. And then I was like, yeah, you just provided all the tools, and it just helped me connect the dots.
What took you to the transformation going through the Satori 8 weeks?
Just unconditional love. I really realized, and I became real with myself. One of my actually previous sayings used to be, I love me some me, started by the great Terrell Owens. Shout out to you. But that phrase, I always like kind of jokingly applied it to myself, but it was very ego driven. And it was like, when I would accomplish something, you know, get a good grade, get a job, you know, whatever, finish a good workout, like then I was like, I was all about myself. Like, yeah, I'm awesome. Yeah, when things didn't maybe go my way, or I wasn't accomplishing all that I thought that I could, then I'm just very judgmental and like hard on myself and like, oh, come on, Greg, got to be better, got to do better, can't have this. And so I think, I don't know if it was like the words or whatever, maybe something in one of the videos just caught me, that like conditional love. I just felt like that hit home for me. And I feel like I kind of resisted or avoided that my whole life in terms of like looking at that. Like, oh yeah, definitely. So that during the 8-week journey, just really shifting the process to unconditionally loving me, regardless of whatever I'm doing or whatever's happening. And then therefore having that unconditional love of myself, that's what I can then give to others and share with others. As I mentioned kind of before, because I was seeking something outside me, that maybe would throw people off or like kind of scare people away, like, you know. But now that I have that I feel full and content and so satisfied with myself, I can share my fullness with you and with anyone else I interact with. As you've mentioned, like, you know, the outside world, like it's just a reflection of our inner world. And I spent like the first 30 plus years of my life just, as you said, hoping and waiting for something in the outside to turn first, and then it's like, oh, and then I'll be loving. Like once I get this or once I get whatever, like then I'll be loving. And as I'm sure you know, and as there's a little voice in my head that's like, Greg, you're gonna be waiting quite a while if that's the way you're gonna play it. And realizing that, you know, the word lead means to go first. And therefore I need to shift my inner state, my way of being, my way of showing up, who I am, what energy I'm giving to the universe, and then the universe then responds. And that's just what I'm experiencing, and just, oh my God, just so grateful for.
If you have to pick one thing, right? If you have to pick one thing that was key for you in that program and that experience, what gave you that flip and the switch? Yeah.
And kind of going back to your previous question, like what was the difference between the thinking into results and the story? Is thinking into results, I felt was much more based on the mind and the subconscious mind and conscious mind, which is imperative, like got to set the foundation. But then the switch flipped for me with the Satori mindset, focusing on the body and specifically the heart. And I don't know if it's in one of your trainings or if I picked it up somewhere, but like the mind can be conditional, the heart is unconditional, and the heart only knows. And when we trust our heart and lead with our heart, and that, you know, that freedom and that power, that's where it's at.
I know, and I remember you mentioned that, you know, the lesson 7, the art of trying less. You knew at the beginning that would be key. Why did you think that way, and how was your experience? You know, trying less, and forgiveness and letting go.
Yeah. Trying, and that, you know, that's something I've identified throughout our throughout our work together in the year, just as something that's always kind of held me back. As I realized the trying is based out of fear. Trying to maybe control, manipulate a situation, because I'm afraid that I'm not gonna be safe, or that, you know, what I think I want is not going to occur. And I'm the shift from trying to just allowing and like letting be, trusting both myself and the whole, just the world around me, my G-verse. Always comes through for me, and everything always works out exactly as it can when I let it. But that just, and that energy of trying, like that tends to off-put people as well. As I know, like, you know, it's like when you're trying to force something, and it's just not meant to be, it's not meant to be. Just let that go. We've also worked on like developing a relationship. And that's like one of my other big transformations. Like I was always seeking that love from someone outside of me. I mean, God, that was the whole reason for Satori. Like I signed up for it to fall in love with someone. However, the person I fell in love with throughout that program was not at all who I knew about, who I expected to. That person resides very close to home and is more rewarding than anything. We mentioned it before, but the Satori mindset, what was different was also just the practical application, like doing it, being it with it in the body, therefore learning it, like ingrained, taking it in, like, okay, this is not just theory. Like this is, I'm doing this. I am this. And the repetition of that, we become that, who we want to be.